Welcome to the Grain of Salt podcast. We're doing it again, this time for the TV show The Spectacular Spider-Man from 2008?
2008. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Hank, and with me is Ben.
Yo.
So, we're doing a 2008 show, and we're not gonna do one episode at a time. We're gonna do batches of 3 or 4 episodes, because that's how this show was built. It was built to be resold as, grocery store DVDs that grandma will buy for the kids in 3-episode batches. So they wrote it where every 3 episodes is a little mini arc, along with each episode being standalone. So it's a good way to break down this Spider-Man show that I fucking love.
Yeah.
So, Ben, what were your initial impressions of the first 3 episodes before I go into some more background on the show?
I mean, it's solid stuff. I like a lot of things it's doing. I don't think I have any major complaints or anything. Like, they're in high school. Like, it's still,
Yes.
as we know, college Spider-Man really shaped my views, so it's nice to not deal with that weird shit.
Mm-hmm. So the general structure of this show is based on adapting the original Stanley Ditko run with additions of modern stuff mixed in, like Eddie Brock and other stuff, and also like a bunch of the side characters are changed to being not white. Because if you literally just adapted it, they would all be white.
Yeah, I figured.
But it is generally following some of that, and Mary Jane gets introduced way earlier than she did in the comics. Like a lot of stuff gets pushed up or whatever.
My only thing was that. In episode 3, I was thinking to myself, maybe the title of the show, the thumbnail for the show, the trailers, and Hank are all like a big cover up, and then actually just from episode, like the end of episode 3 onwards, it just turns into like Spider-Gwen. That'd be cool. It did not.
I mean, yeah, that's not going to happen. Spider-Gwen did not exist yet when this show aired. So that's the thing I would say about it. Like, it meant a lot to me at the time, but it feels kind of like a dated version, because I just don't think you would ever adapt those 60 stories as the way to do Spider-Man anymore. Like, Into the Spider-Verse, like, in the same way that this show put the Sam Raimi films in the dirt for me, kind of. Into the Spider-Verse kind of does the same thing. In terms of like what's like a really important piece of an adaptation of Spider-Man to me. This one, I still like the show a lot, but it's definitely like, you wouldn't make the show without Miles in today. And then again, like more recent Spider-Man shows do have Miles. I just think those shows are worse.
Yeah.
But because the things that this show does well are building character arcs, building plot arcs, making Spider-Man actually funny, which was a problem with the Sam Raimi movies.
I mean, he was funny. He was hilarious to watch.
Yeah. Spider-Man tells jokes.
I mean, that's the Sam Raimi films. Like, does the term incurable prankster not come to your mind?
Not really.
Shocking. It seems
Comes
like
to mind are Aunt May speeches.
I was about to say, I feel like this also, I mean, because it's a cartoon, it helps out probably, but Aunt May doesn't feel ancient, at least. She's got like white hair and
Yeah,
stuff,
no,
but she doesn't
like
feel.
she's still. So this is like a first step in the perpetual de-aging of Aunt May that has gone on in recent years.
Yeah.
Where like this Aunt May was like seemed super young for the time, and now is like old compared to more recent versions of Aunt May. Like still worries about her heart or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah. Also, I would say these first 3 episodes are not the best. They're probably the weakest of the whole show. It's still sort of finding its footing, and it hasn't. These aren't the takes on the villains it has here aren't the most interesting. But what it does do is expose you to a lot of characters. Like it's setting up a lot of, or just like introducing a lot of characters that will get established later. And that's one of the things the show does good is it has the foresight of like, this guy's gonna be Sandman. Here he is as just a normal criminal, not becoming Sandman in this episode. Here's Doc Ock. He's just a scientist right now. Yeah. He's just a meek scientist. Here's Norman Osborn. He's just Harry's dad and an asshole.
He doesn't apologize. He does not fucking apologize. Gun to his head. You better pull the trigger.
Yeah. The other thing I think they showed was like the pacing of stuff. Like a lot of shit happens and it happens quickly, and the animation style does the show a good service because it's simple, but that allows them to animate it well, where the movement of characters and action and stuff is pretty good. Mm-hmm. I do think like a lot of Marvel TV shows before and after this, like the ones I really don't like, they really suffer from the characters being a little overdrawn and just being stiff, and that loses my interest pretty quickly, turns out.
Yeah. I mean, it could be worse.
Yeah. And so this show was developed by Sony, with the 2 guys who were mostly in charge of it were Greg Weisman and Victor Cook. Greg Weisman was most known for developing the Disney show Gargoyles. And after this show, he did some stuff I'm less a fan of. He developed the Young Justice show, which I don't like at all. And he wrote those Magic the Gathering War of the Spark novels that everybody hated.
Oh, that's what it was. Oh, no. Wow, so he's the one, huh?
Well, I'm pretty sure that's WotC responsible for, like, it's specifically WotC wanting to market those books overseas. That's the reason that they, like, retconned the lesbian relationship in those books.
I mean, that's cool.
He is the one who wrote the books.
He didn't have to do it.
Yeah, it's no good. It's no good. I literally just learned that. I literally just put that together.
Oof. Yeah, that's no good. That's not great.
No good. But the other guy, Victor Cook, went on to also work on Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated.
Yeah,
it's another one of my favorite shows.
Pretty good.
And he did a bunch of other shows. Like he did after that, he did a Stretch Armstrong show that I'm sure is terrible. But people have their moments.
Yeah. I mean, on one hand, the books are fucking awful. They did to Magic what Rise of Skywalker did to Star Wars, but on the other hand, like, I can't truly fault someone for getting a paycheck. Kinda.
Yeah. No good.
I mean, did he? We don't need to detour too long. Like, did he know anything about magic at all, or was he just like?
I have no idea.
It seems like maybe
I literally just read a thing on Wikipedia and was like, "Oh,
I feel like I recall part of the controversy was that a lot of the writers involved with all that shit like had no background, so there's a chance he didn't actually fully know what he was doing.
Well, I mean, it's like anytime, like if you change if you have like an established writer who's been doing it, and then you bring someone else in, and there's a different corporate directive, which I feel like was definitely the case with those books.
Yeah, that tracks.
Based on the like other one sentence I read on Wikipedia, it sounded like they were more focused on selling those books overseas.
Yeah.
Than previously.
Anyway.
Bleh. Bleh.
Yeah.
Bleh. I just had to get that out.
Yep. No, that's...
I mean, I had already decided to give more of the credit for the show being good to Victor Cook than Greg Weisman after I fucking hated Young Justice and loved Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated.
Yeah.
Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated is so fucking good. So, there's that. And Victor Cook was more on the animation side of stuff. He directed the first episode, and Weisman wrote it. And the individual episodes all have different writers anyway. Like Weisman's only credited as writing 2 of the whole episodes on this whole show. Just plot stuff he was pretty good at.
Yeah.
So yeah, our first episode is Survival of the Fittest, where we meet Peter Parker as Spider-Man at the end of his summer vacation, where he's become Spider-Man before his junior year of high school.
Yeah.
He's been Spider-Man for a while, but hasn't started fighting supervillains yet, really.
And I just love how immediately as many people would be, right? It's not something that I haven't seen before at this point, but it's still a little fresh, is the idea of he puts on the suit and he's Mr. Cocky, Mr. Cool, whatever, and then he walks up to ask out the most popular girl in school, and she's like, ew, that's disgusting, get out of my face. And he's just awkward as shit. I love it.
Uh-huh. Yep. Yeah, and again, it's not a very modern view of high school.
Also, it is true.
They're jocks and cheerleaders and stuff. It's pretty.
Someone didn't go
it's classic.
Someone didn't go to a rural high school.
It's true. Neither does Peter Parker.
But did the writers of the original thing that they're adapting? That seems more like a rural high school shtick. Sort of. I don't know. It doesn't matter. We had the one nice football player though. After when what the hell is the bully jock's name? That's not Eddie.
Flash Thompson.
Flash, right. He's not the Flash, right? That's not a...
No, the Flash is a DC character.
Yeah, that tracks.
Flash Thompson, he's Peter Parker's high school bully, and then they become best friends in college.
Great.
They become roommates.
Yeah, when Flash is throwing water balloons at Peter, and then Gwen steps in, she makes that sick fucking burn. And the other football player rolls up and he's like, hey, easy, bud. Go get some fucking gauze for that burn. We're done here. He's chill. Not all football players are.
Look, the reason Flash isn't bad at heart is he's a big Spider-Man fan.
I don't think we haven't gotten there yet. Oh,
there's a scene where he's reading
the paper
in class, yes. Also, in comics, eventually, the big storyline with Flash Thompson is developing an alcoholism problem.
Ooh. I assume that gets addressed in season 2?
No, it's not this show. And then they do a story where he fights in Afghanistan and loses his legs. And then he becomes Venom.
Nice.
Becomes Agent Venom. Venom, but he uses guns.
Shadow the Hedgehog shit.
It's honestly pretty great. But yeah, so the main antagonist of this episode is the Vulture. And This definitely isn't a very interesting version of the Vulture, and I don't like this Vulture design because its color scheme is boring.
Yeah.
It's black and red. It's like, yo, Vulture should be fucking green as hell. What are you doing?
I mean, it was also because my first experience with this character was in the Marvel films, and that was it. The first one, yeah.
It's Homecoming, yeah. And that's like the best version of the Vulture ever, Michael Keaton.
Yeah. pretty
This
solid.
is closer to the original version where just like in the original he's the oldest man. He's the oldest man in the world. He flies around and Spider-Man has to fight him.
That's great. Just fucking ancient. Well, now I'm disappointed. Thank you.
He's got that big Vulture nose, his long nose.
Yeah, it's like his look and like I guess not fully his look, but like his color scheme and shit. Someone decided like, what if vampire?
It honestly, it's
look.
like the most of like modern Marvel theory that goes into a lot of these times, where it's like thinking practically of this dude developed this wingsuit, so it's actual hardware and not like this dude made a silly outfit where he looks like he calls himself the Vulture and he's green with like fuzz around his neck.
I mean, like that's where Marvel is fucking up. That little I did not read all of it because it was pretty long, but I read a good chunk of that Batman piece that you had linked a while ago. Very good as someone who barely knows most of the people or things they're talking about. I enjoyed it. But the bit that they mentioned about going back to the gray and blue suit, like that, that hit.
Here's like an early image of actual Vulture.
I feel like I'm
in the comics.
Curious to see if I recognize it. Yeah. I don't know if we read something or if you just linked this, but this looks right. And also it looks much more interesting.
Yeah. In the 90s, they gave him like he had like parasitic youth stealing powers. So he could be young again and have hair.
Hell yeah.
That was the 90s take. But he was like in all green, but it was like armor.
I mean, less hell yeah, but
then like, you know,
that's actually that's also what I've liked about I mean, what I liked seeing it a bit in Invincible was the whole like the suits are still like the superhero suits, you know. What the
yeah, Invincible.
Fuck,
that's 90s Vulture.
Jesus Christ.
I think that's like an animated version of him.
What a screen grab. You don't like you got to go to some fancy cocktail parties to see a neckline like that.
Yeah.
That's fucking wild.
I think that's like a particularly bad frame.
I mean, yeah, but that's what makes it beautiful. Like, they know what they're doing.
Well, that's from the 90s Spider-Man show that like couldn't even keep steady frame rate, so.
Dude, real brief, speaking of bad screen grabs, that when I mentioned the scene with Miss Piggy that like freaked me, I took a screenshot of like the moment. It's so cursed that my screen capture shit didn't even work. Like I went and looked at the image and it's just not there. It's titled and there's just nothing. Nothing shows up. That's how cursed it is.
That's very funny.
Anyway.
Okay, but this 90s version, that's the version I had a toy of as a kid.
Okay.
So. Yeah, and like this version of Vulture, he's mad at because he like tried to sell his flight tech to Norman Osborn, and Norman's like, nah. And then like whatever, sometime later, Norman's like, yo, I have this flight tech though. So he like stole Toombs' designs, but like Toombs is old. He's like old, so Norman's like, who's gonna believe you? You're old and you haven't had a breakthrough your whole life. Fuck off. And he's terrible.
And I mean, the best part is that dude just wants an apology.
It's true.
He's like, say you're sorry, or I'll fucking kill you.
It's like, never.
I don't say sorry.
It's pretty good. That part's pretty good. I appreciate Norman Osborn being the worst. Because that's... Yeah. It's not exactly true to his original character, but his original character is just kind of a mess. And I don't even remember what Norman himself was like. The thing I mostly remember is that, like, the Green Goblin was, like, an alternate personality for him, and he would, like, wake up not remembering he had been the Green Goblin originally. It was, like, the take on that.
Gotcha.
But this Norman is more in line with more modern versions, since they brought him back from the dead.
My only knowledge is the Willem Dafoe monologue, and only then because you showed it to me.
The William Dafoe monologue is so fucking good.
Guy does good monologues.
But even that is like this version of Norman that's like Smeagol.
Yeah.
Whereas this version is just like he's completely different from the way like a Green Goblin would act, but he's still terrible in a completely different way. So, but he's less flamboyant, I'd say. And we get introduced to Doc Ock, who's like super meek in this episode. He's like a friend with Vulture and working for Norman. And he gets pushed around really easily. He's a nerd,
Did I miss Doc Ock? Maybe I just didn't recognize him.
Yeah, I mean, he's the one that Vulture is talking to that's saying, you set me up with Norman, and then he betrayed me. Like, Vulture, Toombs shows up mad at talking to Ock, Dr. Octavius, and then Norman shows up and says, I never apologize, and Toombs is like, I'm not mad at you anymore. Don't worry.
Right. I'm not mad. I remember that bit. Okay.
Yeah. So that's...
That's
Octavius we're talking about. I'm pretty sure there's a moment in here where we see maybe it's not this episode. I don't remember if we meet. Whatever. We see Hammerhead, who calls in the Enforcers on Spider-Man.
Okay.
The Enforcers are like, those are old Spider-Man characters that are not super remembered. Like, that's how you can tell they're adapting 60s Spider-Man comics.
Gotcha.
Is like...
Yeah, I'd never heard of them.
Like, characters that, like, wear cowboy hats.
Hell yeah.
And have names like Fancy Dan. It's Montana, Ox, and Fancy Dan.
Jesus. Fancy Dan.
It's also funny. The two that they make not white are the two that don't have any lines. which is also like, come on, guys.
That's some Harry Potter bullshit.
Yeah, don't love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we meet this version of Gwen Stacy, and at the time, this was the best version of Gwen Stacy that had existed.
I mean,
like obviously Spider-Gwen is a much better take. It's like it's a step above, but a Gwen Stacy who is like a good character and not like a memorable moment about dying.
Ugh,
and like tragic thing.
I mean, she seems cool.
A clone dealing with just the version of Gwen Stacy is good.
Yeah. Is this? I'm trying to remember. I can't remember perfectly. Well, I can't remember. Is Harry Osborn like in the Sam Raimi films? Raimi? Is he also like a super scrawny nerd guy, or is he? Because doesn't he become like the Green Goblin? He like takes up the mantle. He's like kind of buff, isn't he?
He's. Oh my god, how am I blanking on his fucking name in the movies? No media. He's played by James Franco in the movies.
Right. So not quite as
So more of like a stoner character. I don't know. Because he's James Franco. But
yeah.
He's definitely not a nerd in the movies. I wouldn't even I'd say he's not that far off in terms of like his kind of character really. Okay. But like the characterization is pretty different, just like the way he carries himself.
Well, yeah. See,
like this
he's just so scrawny here, and I was like, I guess in hindsight, I don't know if it's a plot beat that always happens, but I'm like, this guy, I'm looking at Harry Osborn. How does this guy become the Green Goblin?
Well, you gotta take the Green Goblin serum first.
I was gonna say, like, does he get what's Captain America's name? Does he get Steve Rogers? Like they just inject him with something?
I mean, in comics, he just drinks a version of the Green Goblin serum that's like more potent than even what his dad took.
Okay, so question.
And then he dies. Like,
he's
honestly Harry Osborn as the Green Goblin, not in that many comics.
Interesting.
Like way fewer comics than you might think. He has like, and as a villain, even less. He's only really a villain in like 2 stories. Like his original appearance, and then when he the story that brings him back, but then also he dies at the end eventually. And like he becomes it once in the middle there, I think he's like helpful.
Okay.
He also is like the character they set up with like a drug problem, so is like most of
why not
Harry Osborn's original existence. Is like comics that you read them now and you're like, this was like edgy for the time, and it really feels like a PSA comic. Like it's the opposite, where like they couldn't get the Comics Code of Authority on the books or something because they were just mentioning drugs, but it's not like a good nuanced take on it.
Yeah.
Right? So that's a thing. I think Harry Osborn's also a character that was not in the high school. I think he only got introduced when Peter went to college.
Gotcha.
And like with him and Mary Jane were dating for a long time in those stories.
Okay.
With the thing being that Mary Jane was always kind of more into Peter, but Peter had Gwen.
I mean, like, at the time it might have been different, but like, right now you say that, like, how could you not choose Gwen over Mary Jane? Like the Gwen of today, you know? Ridiculous.
You mean like
Or does
Gwen
wait
Poole
does
Gwen?
does
or Spider Gwen Gwen?
Spider Gwen not Gwenpool. How could you not go to
I
a different
honestly,
comic universe and
yeah. But like, yeah. The big thing was original Gwen Stacy. Like one of the defining things was she hated Spider-Man.
ugh.
So that was kind of what that was a relationship tension in the stories.
That sounds like a shitty tension.
Yeah, it was not good. Like,
That sounds awful.
readers did not like Gwen Stacy.
Yeah.
Because the writers did the character no favors.
Ugh.
Also, like, there's a story where her dad dies. That helps part of her, because her dad is a cop, and then he dies, and that's also she blames Spider-Man for that. I think. Personally.
Gotcha.
But like, she doesn't even ever learn Peter's Spider-Man before she dies. I don't think that even happens. I don't know. Original Gwen Stacy, not great.
Yeah.
But they also they would they changed how they wrote her on a dime sometimes. Just because when they decided to change the direction of something, I think at some point they made her bitchier than she had been. Anything else with this episode? Oh, we got introduced to Eddie Brock and Professor Connors and his wife.
Yeah.
Dr. Connors.
Definitely not going to be the lizard Dr. Connors.
Oh, never. How would that happen?
Certainly not by injecting lizard DNA into your body.
He's so excited when he talks about lizard DNA. We also get to meet this version of J. Jonah Jameson. And this is a good this is a solid version of J. Jonah Jameson, I gotta say. I like this version of Jonah.
I mean, it seems fun. I'm not too familiar with various versions of him. Are there various versions? To me, every of the few iterations I've seen, it seems like he's always just the same exact looking dude going, "Get me pictures of Spider-Man."
Yes, I mean that's the perfect version of Spider-Man. The J.K. Simmons as Jonah Jameson is like the best thing in that Sam Raimi trilogy. It's so perfect that then when they did the Amazing Spider-Man movies, they didn't even have a Jonah, and then the post credits thing of the second Spider-Man was bringing back Jonah, but it's just J.K. Simmons.
Yeah,
again,
it's pretty good.
He's just too good at that role.
Yeah, dude.
There's also the Jonah in the Spider-Man video game, the Sony one. That's pretty good.
Oh, okay.
He's also
nice.
He's like he does a podcast in that.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Like,
He's like the I guess I thought it was radio, but like same difference. Yeah. He's like talking and shit. I remember.
Yeah. This is like classic dude owns a newspaper Jonah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Which is, they've moved Jonah to other roles because that doesn't make as much sense anymore.
Yeah,
it's almost like the world changed since the Spider-Man comics that were written in the 60s. Who would have guessed? Who'd have thunk it? Who'd have thunk it?
I mean, when will he become an aggressive caps lock using but ultimately good-hearted Twitter shit poster? He's angry. He wants the picture. He wants more of Spider-Man, but also he doesn't engage in Twitter's nonsense.
In comics, they made him the mayor of New York for a while. That's pretty good.
That sounds fantastic.
He spent too much of the city's budget on his anti-Spider-Man squad.
I mean, that's a couple steps better than inviting fucking... Was it Darkseid?
Darkseid.
Darkseid? Was it Darkseid or was it other person? Into the city.
I don't know.
In the 60s comics we read. Where he, like, just invites, like, Mr. Terrorism to bring peace.
That's Doctor Doom.
Doctor Doom, Darkseid. Look at... I want you to...
Doctor Doom is a completely different character. Come on, man. Come on.
I don't like Darkseid
Dr.
take
Doom's
over.
just
Dr.
a
Doom
dude with an armor. He's not from space. He's just from Europe.
Well, they shouldn't have the letters D and R featured prominently in their names. Dark, Doctor. Can't expect you to remember that.
I haven't shown you the like internet fan comic someone made about Darkseid and Thanos' carpool, and also Doctor Doom rides in their carpool.
Sounds pretty good.
Darkseid talks about how good coffee is.
She's not wrong.
But yeah, that's like most of this first episode is just establishing stuff. We meet a lot of characters very quickly.
Yeah.
But, you know, also don't go very deep into any of them. So let's get to episode 2. Which is the first time something goes wrong at Dr. Connor's lab. Where
I mean,
technically the first time something goes wrong, Spider-Man is created.
Yeah, we haven't. I don't think we got like the, or is it just implied like the spider got loose and bit him? Is that it?
Yes, it is just okay. It is just because they mentioned in this episode of like that spider they went on a field trip to visit the lab last year, and Peter's like, I will never forget that visit.
Yeah.
But what's funny to me is that they know he was bit by the spider in this episode. It's like, you never put that together, guys? You never like think about that one? No? Okay.
I mean,
I see. You're in a TV show for children. I get it.
No, it's called being happy. You just don't think about stuff. It's the secret. Yeah, we had genetically modified eels, electric eels.
Yeah, a source of clean energy.
Eels are like disgusting. Not exactly clean.
Yeah. Renewable.
There you go. You can always make more eels.
Always make more eels.
I did not get... the thing that goes wrong, of course, is the technician, who I see his name is Max.
Yes.
Later, Electro.
Yes.
Which is a great scene when he's like, what did you call me earlier? Like, lightning butt? No, the other thing. I didn't understand his anger. Like, he was so angry.
Couldn't drink coffee, Ben.
No,
we just went over how good coffee
he was
is.
But he was so angry at fucking Dr. Connors. I'm like, dude, you're the one who was wrenching on that thing so hard that you flew back into the tank. You knew where you were working. Are you dense? Like, don't like go so hard in front of the tank of eels. He was so upset at Dr. Connors. I'm like, man, it's not anyone's fault. If anything, it's more your fault. I didn't get that. I got the coffee thing, like when it just explodes. And then he just
look. All I'm saying is that in the next episode, they come up with a gene cleanser pretty quickly. And nobody cures poor Max.
This didn't affect his genes. You can't just take the lightning out of somebody. Taking the lizard DNA out is easy peasy.
Like, also, this Electro design I don't love. Like, again, it's pretty, like, thinking about a suit that a person would wear to siphon off their electricity or whatever.
Yeah, it was kind of meh.
Let me find. Let me find classic Electro.
Ooh, don't spoil, but I'm picturing electric blue, like a bright blue. Let's see. No, bright blue with like maybe a belt. Is he wearing a belt? Like a white, blue and white maybe? Blue white color scheme. That's my guess. I'm ready.
Okay. Now, I will say
I was off, but you'll never believe me, but I was thinking like maybe they went fucking green. Okay. I was not thinking green and yellow though. Didn't expect him to be a Packers fan.
Like the colors of Spider-Man's pretty simple. The colors of evil are like yellow, green, and purple, and the colors of good are red and blue. In terms of design, generally.
Gotcha.
That early stuff.
More like the colors of good are red, white, and blue. Feel me? Happy 4th, by the way.
There was a period of comics where they made him more powerful and made him white and blue. I think in the early 2000s.
Spider-Man more powerful?
No, Electro.
White and blue Electro?
Oh. Yes, it was a thing.
Maybe that's like where my brain was coming from.
And he's more blue in the Amazing Spider-Man movie he's in.
I clicked on his name, and this picture is not doing him any favors.
The Jamie Foxx Electro?
Yeah.
And that's a terrible word.
Yeah,
I hate that version of Electro so bad. He's like, well, because his version of, I think he's still Max. His version of that character is such an over the top, nerd caricature.
Gotcha.
It's the worst.
Gross.
Okay, here's like what the like early 2000s.
Okay, see,
possibly late 90s Electro.
That's blue and white. We're there. Not quite the shade of blue I envisioned. The design of his suit really draws you to his junk. It's just an arrow ending.
And then modern Electro design, they went more recently they went to this where his instead of wearing a mask is got scarring on his face, but it's more like his classic costume.
Why couldn't they just do actual lightning scars?
I don't know. I don't like that design either, but yeah. Trying to be more serious, Ben.
I mean, they could do
serious.
They could do. No, I'm saying they could just do the scars that lightning strikes make, like that fractal thing. Be much better.
That's harder. I don't know. I don't have an explanation.
They can't draw squiggles on his face. This is harder.
Nope. This is just all done in coloring. See?
Lazy.
I don't know. The choice. It was a choice. Yeah, Max gets really mad. He can't watch TV. He can't drink coffee. It's the worst. But really, the thing I like about this episode is he wouldn't have become a supervillain except Spider-Man attacks him. It's his going to jail is really instigated by Peter just attacking him because he thinks he's a creep or whatever because he runs out of the coffee shop.
Yeah. Well, that happens.
And then, also because he wants to he just gets bored of Liz and wants to leave.
Well, and he just at one point he just wants to go home. He's like, I'm going home. And the fucking cops and the doctors show up and push him further.
It's true. Yes, they do that, but that only happens because of the big mess that happens when Spider-Man attacks him.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by it keeps escalating.
Yeah.
And Peter helps escalate it at that point. Which I think is interesting, just notable about It's Peter messing up. Like,
imagine
he has an idea of what he thinks he should be doing, and it's not always correct.
Imagine that you can't drink coffee, and then people try to prevent you from going home. That's
man,
that's the supervillain origin story right there for anybody.
Yeah, no, like Max is like pissed, but he's just very powerful more than like he's wrong.
Yeah.
He's just a little like has the power to actually do a lot of property damage.
Mm-hmm.
But he has reasons to be mad. We get Peter being assigned to tutor Liz Allen.
Yeah. Clicking on her link in Wikipedia looks a little different. It's also just a weird picture of her. But
oh God,
this is an awkward drawing. Yeah,
like 2007. Yeah. Yes.
I'm looking forward to what they do with her, cause like she's clearly being set up for something. Cause like she turns a little bit nice, but then she's like talking to him, and the jocks show up, and she's like, "Hopefully he's going away soon, cause he's gross." But then she looks back.
Yeah, he ditched her, and then she was all about it.
Oh, right, of course.
It's basically what happens.
Gotcha.
He's like, I don't actually need to be here. You're the one who needs tutoring. Call me if you want to actually do this. And then she's like,
yeah, she only goes for Chads. That tracks.
I mean, I think she's dating Flash.
The chatty is Chad.
Start of this. Also, in the Homecoming movie, Liz Allen is Vulture's daughter. That Peter.
I don't even remember that's her. I didn't even know that's her name.
Yep. So that's like, I would say that's like taking what was done here and then going a step even further, like building upon what this show added to the character, kind of.
Okay. Yeah.
We've got the stuff of the tension of Peter having a curfew and having to call Aunt May, and then still always being late.
I mean, she gave him the door for it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, be home by 10. If you're not, just call. Like,
yeah.
Okay.
And then he calls every day. He's got shit to do. It's honestly hilarious to me, though, that he doesn't, like, tell her, there was an attack at the lab. Like, something happened at the lab. No, that doesn't get brought up.
Some of these are pretty. He'd be able to give a reasonable excuse.
There's a perfectly reasonable explanation for why he would be late. But he doesn't want to worry her, Ben, because her heart might explode.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Because she's an old.
Then pick a lane and stay in it. Why is she staying up till 10? Shouldn't she be in bed by like 8? Ridiculous. But she's also concerned. They can't, they gotta pay the bills, but where's the money?
Where's the money? Show me the money.
The money is in Spider-Man. That's the secret. Gotta.
It's true.
Dude, him taking the pictures and like just fucking them up the first couple of times is pretty good. Like trying to get those selfies and it's just shit. Like, yeah, that's what it would look like.
Yeah. He's like, I also like the running bit of other people trying to take pictures of him.
Mm-hmm.
And like, for whatever reason, their stuff gets wrecked.
Yeah.
It's like, he's not the only person out here doing it, but like, it's hard. Okay?
It's
not easy
jumpy.
getting pictures of Spider-Man.
Yeah, dude. It took a second to click when that first came up, where I was like, oh, like I guess he wouldn't just be working at the Daily Bugle because he's like 15 or whatever. Like
Yep.
it kind of, when he was going there initially, I'm like, oh right, because like he works there, and then like, hold on,
No. He definitely doesn't work there. I also like that Peter bringing the idea of taking pictures of Spider-Man to Jonah is like, it's like the child version of what Toombs went through with Norman, of bringing this thing to a person in authority and then just getting their idea ripped off.
I mean, it should
Thematically,
it shouldn't have needed to be ripped off though, because like Harry says later, he's like, you told a newspaper owner to take pictures of a famous person.
Yes. Uh-huh.
That was pretty
True.
good. I like that we got both of those things because, like, yeah, it's fucking obvious, but also it seems like Jonah didn't really think of it.
Yeah.
Oh, it was good. The quips in this show are pretty solid.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's like a big... It's like a big thing for this compared to the Sam Raimi movies for me. Is the quips are good, it's fast paced, and we don't have characters speechifying. Which is the part of the Sam Raimi movies I hate the most. Is like the emotional Aunt May speeches or whatever.
Yeah, camera pans in, orchestral music swells.
Yeah.
How do you rank the quipping in the MCU films?
The MCU films are kind of all about quipping. That's like
Oh, right.
the thing that makes most of those movies like a borderline fine. Is that the characters are all jokesters. They're all like Han Solo jokey types. So, and like Tom Holland does a really good job playing Spider-Man in those movies. So,
Okay.
it kind of, I would say it's the Spider-Man in those movies is good. So, I think it's good.
All right.
He quips a good amount. The weird thing in the movies is like he has his suit AI to bounce off of, so it's not as much
I really dislike
him having to work off the villain. He has like his suit
just fucking. I mean, why?
just to make him more like Iron Man.
Yeah. I mean, don't you want your Spider-Man to win his battles by going, Alexa, send in satellite orbital cannon?
Okay, what I like about that first movie is that by the end of it, he no longer has that it builds into him having to do it on his own.
I guess, but like
Part of what makes that first movie good is by the end of it, he's back on he's like wearing his pajamas, wearing a hoodie.
doesn't he get like the super glasses in the second film though?
Oh yeah, the second film, it no longer has that arc, but A, the second film's not as good as the first one.
Yeah.
And B, it's a whole different vibe. There's a lot of other stuff going on in that movie. He's fighting like giant monsters and stuff. Like he's not fighting just normal criminals. He's fighting like what he thinks is a lava monster or whatever.
I mean, it's almost like they should have kept Spider-Man into his turf.
Look, it's
instead
just
of-
a different flavor of Spider-Man, okay? It's just a different thing. That movie is more of like an event tie-in comic, which is a different thing than just a plain old Spider-Man comic, but it's valid, okay? It's not invalid.
Jesus.
Maybe it's not for you. Maybe it's not what you like.
Well, I mean, sure.
I don't know. I just, in general, I like legacy heroes, so I like tying a hero to a previous thing based on the way they established the Marvel Universe. It's perfectly fine to me that Spider-Man is like a weird Iron Man
Yeah.
legacy character.
I'm not gonna.
Within the context of those movies, that's fine.
I'm not gonna beat that horse. Also, I do want to say that the loud noise of something being dropped was not me. It was my upstairs neighbor. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah, dude. Like that's why I was like, Jesus, like something hit the floor.
The bodies hit the floor.
I hope
The
not.
bodies hit the floor.
That'd be bad. There's always a lot of yelling up there, and I think they have a kid, so it gets a little rough sometimes. Anyway, glancing past that.
Anyway, Electro gets dropped into well, I like the bit of Peter using a rubber glove.
Yep, that was solid.
And then he knocks Electro into a big pool.
I really thought that was going
it.
to backfire. Cause like Electro, pool, like I thought he would just get stronger. Honestly. But also it was good. He was too. I mean, like evaporating the water. Like it was also solid.
Yeah, and also we get the scene. So we get the scene of Connor's like about to inject himself with lizard DNA. His wife catches him, and then he's like, "It's lizard DNA." He's so stoked about it, and I love. It's so funny to me. He's like, "Yes, this is what a rational human being says."
Yeah.
It's modified lizard DNA.
I just just the fact that it's kind of framed as like it's not what you think.
Yeah. It's not what you think. It's just lizard DNA I'm about to inject
It's
myself
not what it looks
with.
like.
But the important bit is that it like his tube gets shocked by electro juice and theoretically souped up. Presumably part of why he transforms into the lizard so quickly.
Oh.
So
I didn't even
it
register
ties
that.
in. Yeah. So that sort of ties in like Peter escalating that situation and like this snowball effect of events happening.
Okay.
Which is
I mean, I definitely remember that. I just didn't connect those dots.
yeah. Mm-hmm. So then we get our next episode, Natural Selection, which is our lizard episode.
Yeah.
Where Connors injects himself with the lizard DNA. The timeline for like how long he keeps that thing in his pocket before, like we're on to like a next day and he's like putting that away. Like the timelines of how they show events in this episode don't quite make sense, but it doesn't matter. They can just show them out of order. He injects himself and his arm like immediately grows back.
Yeah.
Which is fucking like, oh man.
I mean, the way they
people are a
showed
little too cool about it.
it was like
It's wild.
it was like kind of like it splurted out like tentacles or whatever a little bit.
Yeah.
And like that must have hurt like a bitch. Can you
Yeah.
imagine? It did not look like he was like I would have been screaming in agony, I imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah,
He
that happens.
he
And then he
gets-
goes around showing people that he has a hand. It's like goes to shake Eddie Brock's hand. He's
Yeah,
like,
and he's
wait,
like,
your
"Whoa."
hand.
bro.
He picks up his son. And his son's like, wait, what the fuck?
Dad, you did it. Yes, son. Lizard DNA did it. Kids
And
like
then
reading
they
about
have to send the kid to go play the video game.
while they look at the fucking scales growing.
Yeah. Turns out Connors is growing scales on his body. And
That-
also his mind is regressing.
They,
lizard-like.
The timeline for that bit was pretty funny. Like,
Yeah.
your lizard brain is gonna take over. Like it's growing too quickly, and then he's like, "Oh, my lizard brain's taking over."
Look, man, we only have like 22 minutes.
I
Don't have
know,
time.
but like it was just so quick. The turnaround.
We have to We have to fit in a whole fight scene between Peter and Lizard. Keep it moving. Keep it moving. Oh, right. The other thing that, like, is sort of, you get a glimpse of in the last episode, you really get it in this one, is Eddie Brock's willingness to just throw his, like, life in front of whatever is in front of him.
Yeah.
Like, he is not concerned with his own safety at all. Might even say he's got a little bit of a death wish.
So he is
One might say when he goes to, like, use himself as bait for the lizard.
So he's
Peter's like, man, I'm impressed. And it's like, yeah, that might not be a thing a healthy person does.
Well,
I don't know.
It's not bad. He's just the Gonzo of the Spider-Man universe.
Yeah, but look, Gonzo will be okay. This is the difference.
God. That's going to have, like, a lasting effect on me.
So, the funniest part about this episode to me is, like, Connor's kid, Billy, like, reading about lizards and being upset that, like, Billy. Lizards have lizard brains. They don't care about their children or whatever.
Oh, yeah. But he'll care about me,
because, like,
right?
2 years after this, like, this story didn't exist before the show, but not long after this show, they did a story in the comics where the lizard eats Billy.
Oh, shit. Oh, that's pretty good.
It's called Shed.
Yeah, they go pretty, like, it's a pretty set thing, too. Because what's her name is like, he'll always love you, Billy. Bah, bah, bah.
Yeah,
Chomp, chomp.
Chomp, chomp. So we get a good fight between Spider-Man and the lizard on the subway. Like, that fight's just really good. Them jumping all around. And I like when Peter dodges backwards and then is just standing perpendicular.
Yeah.
In the back of the train car.
Yeah, there was a lot of solid shit in that.
Good action. Like, the lizard just, like, punching him through the roof of the subway car.
Yeah,
and then,
dude.
like, that dude trying to take a picture of it. I'm getting smashed.
I mean,
shit.
It was that fight turned out a lot better than the last time I saw stuff happening on a subway, which was Invincible.
Fair. So yeah, also in this episode we get a thing of Peter has to, like, basically seem like he's abandoning everyone he cares about.
Yeah,
because he has to go do Spider-Man stuff and he can't tell them.
That is where a bit of my annoyance came in, and I think it's probably because I'm used to, like, some of the MCU stuff where it's
like a lot of modern comics don't. They're like, this tension's played out. We're gonna get around it.
So, like, I know it's a product of its time and whatever, but in my mind, I'm like, just fucking tell them. It's like, just scream it. Like, who cares? Superheroes are a dime a dozen.
I mean, they're not in this show.
What are you talking about?
Just Spider-Man.
Electro could be a superhero, but he's just angry.
Sure,
they could be. I mean, I understand, of course, but like,
and, like, then everyone he knows would be in danger from all the villains. It's like,
yeah, but they don't know his secret identity yet.
Yeah, I mean, this is playing to hardcore old school secret identity rules.
Which, know, again, but like,
most modern fiction doesn't go into.
Telling people you're Spider-Man doesn't have to come with telling the villain you're Peter Parker.
It's true. It's true.
I mean, unless you want to fucking flex, like, how cocky are you? Yeah, the name's Peter Parker. Don't at me.
Or you could do the Sam Raimi movies after the first one. he's like loses his mask every 10 seconds because they were like
He does.
part of the complaints of the first movie is you couldn't read people's emotions. But most of that was about not being able to see William Dafoe's face when he was the Green Goblin, not about Tobey Maguire's face.
Yeah.
But oh well.
Well, I remember
Whereas in animation, like, you know,
yeah.
like Spider-Man's face is so good.
I think I remember you talking about that most with Spider-Verse. You'd mentioned like specifically that was a huge thing. And I like thinking about it, I'd never thought about it before, and then like reflecting on it, it's like, yeah, that would make a huge difference.
Yeah, the ability to like really animate those eyes is like so important to the reasons the Spider-Man design is really good.
From what I recall, the MCU films do decently. They get quite a bit of movement.
Yeah, because he has that super advanced Tony Stark suit.
I mean, I guess
like in his pajamas, he's just wearing goggles, right?
I suppose. I don't know.
But yes, the CGI technology has come long enough that they can animate his face appropriately.
I wish they would have tried when it wasn't far enough along.
Like I mean, I think the worst offender still is though like the first Amazing Spider-Man movie. I just think that costume looks like garbage.
I'll level with you. I cannot picture anything from those films. I remember people talking about it. Like I remember seeing a trailer. I do not remember anything from the trailer. I don't know who's in it. I cannot picture literally anything from those films at all. What year was it? They were like 2012-ish? 14? Or maybe
Spider-Man movie
later.
was
2012. Oh, 2012. Okay. Yeah.
The first one.
Oh, and the Raimi ones were like 2002, right? 3 something.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I always think they're later because I saw them first when I was like.
It's easy to place them because, in my mind, because like the first teaser trailer, for Spider-Man 1 showed Spider-Man webbing up a helicopter between the Twin Towers. And the Twin Towers were not in that actual movie.
That's
because some stuff happened.
That's a bad omen.
I mean, also that movie is like then like Rah Rah New York at the end because of that too.
I mean, that tracks.
It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing.
Well, yeah, dude. Everything at the time.
Not wrong.
Everything was a whole thing.
Yeah. I like that the Lizard's plan is to go to the zoo so he can wrestle an alligator.
Yeah, dude just wants to fucking tussle.
He just wants to wrestle. He has to assert his dominance over other lizards.
Yeah.
But it's just funny to me that he's like, you know where I can go? The zoo. I think, I'm pretty sure they've done that story in the comics before, too, where, like, the lizard goes to the zoo and breaks out all the lizards, all the reptiles, and travels with them. Yeah. Peter, they make the gene cleanser. They figure out that cleansing the body of just for human DNA is easier than removing the lizard or destroying the lizard DNA or whatever. So they make that pretty quickly. Peter gets it. He holds up Lizard's mouth with Billy's skateboard. So it was very important Billy showed up, or else Peter wouldn't have had that skateboard.
Do you
And then,
skateboard here? No, I took a taxi.
No. Yeah, that's pretty good. pretty good bit. Yeah, so Connors get healed, he gets turned back, and then the next day there's Spider-Man and Lizard photos in the Bugle, and everyone's fucking furious at Peter.
Here's the thing, though. Like, I mean, they're upset, but I think they handled it really well. And even like the other time that Peter runs off, like the adults specifically are like, "You're young, like this is not good, whatever." But you're 16. And then Dr. Connors especially is like, yeah, I'm not in a place to be throwing stones. It just backs up. Like that was a very I really like that scene and how the kids of course are like pissed, but like that's of course they are. And then that ending,
it's fine. I'm not gonna yell at you, but you are fired because I can't trust you. But that's fine.
Yeah,
Peter's upset though.
Oh, I mean, it still has
doesn't love it.
consequences, but
This is a light moment of Peter Parker not liking to be Spider-Man. Turns out being Spider-Man has some drawbacks.
When he grabs the vial and he's gonna like revert his shit. It got me.
We get our version of the Uncle Ben moment that we get in this beginning of the show, which is just him looking at a photograph and fucking remembering, which is also refreshing at the time that this wasn't doing the Uncle Ben thing again.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know if it's necessarily what would I
off the bat.
I don't know if it's what I would do in that situation, but like based on the 3 episodes that I've seen at this point, I would have fucking chugged that potion. I think Peter should have chugged it.
But he saved them.
He saved
them.
The
fucking Lizard Man showed up.
Like, yeah.
He is living in a world in which Electro and Vulture and the Lizard have showed up.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's a not easy choice.
Yeah. The thing is, if he weren't Spider-Man, he would have done something else to try and save that might have just failed.
Yeah.
It's not that he has spider powers that's really the problem. It's the fact that he has a conscience and wants to do everything he can to help people. That fucks him over.
Well, see, I would,
and sometimes he does he makes a mistake or whatever in judgment. But
I mean, like, I kind of lied. It's easy to think about what I would do. I would continue having the powers, but anytime someone more than like your average asshole shows up, like dude with 18 missile launchers strapped to his electrified mutant squirrel body shows up, I'm out. I'm tapping out of this one. That's not my job.
Yeah. Like the Spider-Man story is like a bank robber, a thief runs by who stole money from a guy who stiffed him, and he's like, he lets the guy go. He's like, not my problem. And then later that guy shoots Uncle Ben, and that like traumatizes him into like always having to try and do everything he can. Like it's literally not my problem is the thing he can never say again, because that's what led to Uncle Ben dying, was when he let that happen.
Gotcha.
That's his trauma that he is now self-flagellating by being a superhero. That's kind of the Spider-Man deal.
Yeah. No,
the Peter Parker deal specifically.
Yeah.
Because that is not Miles' deal.
No.
Miles is just a good person.
I'm enjoying it so far. Like 3 episodes deep, it's pretty solid. It's a nice little thing to watch while I'm eating.
Yeah,
And it goes.
Yeah, the episodes move.
Yeah. I was about to say they go quick.
They're quick and they have good action.
Yeah. And I can definitely, like, knowing that, what's his name? Victor
Cook.
I can definitely see the, like, going to Scooby-Doo or whatever. Like,
yeah, that's another show that surprisingly, because it's this fucking Scooby-Doo show, has really good action that moves really well.
Yeah. I need to finish that one.
Oh, that show's so good. So I think that's an episode. Next time we'll watch episodes 4, 5, and 6 of season 1 of The Spectacular Spider-Man. This show only had 2 seasons, and they're both 13 episodes, so it won't take too many of these to work our way through it.
I also like that it's on Netflix, so I can just be lazy about like, I don't have to put in any effort to find it.
Hell yeah. Also, hilariously, there was not that long ago, I saw a Twitter campaign to like bring back this show, and it's like, guys, you are so far late. Like, there's the other thing I should mention is the reason this show ended after 2 seasons was because of Marvel and Sony redoing their deal and Sony basically gave up the rights to make an animated TV show.
Right.
And then Marvel came out with its own Spider-Man show, which I only watched like 1 episode of because it had the worst Peter Parker I've ever fucking seen. He was like the most obnoxious Peter Parker. I fucking hated it. Yeah.
Rose.
Also, like, they totally fucked around with when they were airing this. Like, the first season aired on network TV, and then the second season got pushed to Disney XD. But also, all the episodes had like aired in New Zealand before it came out in the US. So people on the internet, like me, had watched them all before they ever aired on television in North America.
Oh, that's weird. It's not a great decision.
No, it was. I was very like, why are you? The show's really good. Why are you fucking this up this bad? But I don't know. This is around the same time that Nickelodeon was fucking up the end of Last Airbender too. So
yeah, had that viewing experience. Well, not viewing. I guess similar experience with Singular Point. Like, watch it all, and then it released on Netflix, and Netflix was like, "Oh, you gotta check this out, viewer." And I'm like, "Yeah, cool. It was great. Thumbs up."
Yeah.
Oh.
I will say, I have watched the end of episode 12 again since we finished that, just because I love that fucking bit so much.
Dude, it's really solid.
Not going back to it didn't really go back to episode 13. Episode 12, though.
Yeah.
That ending.
Oh, 100%.
Strong stuff. So email saltcirclepodcast@gmail.com. SaltCirclePod on Twitter. Find our episodes at anchor.fm/saltcircle, SaltCircle Podcast on all podcasting platforms. If there's a podcasting platform we're not on, let me know. I could probably change that. And I'm on Twitter at Comic Panels.
You can't find me on Twitter, but I need you to find me pictures of Spider-Man.
They're out there.